Old money. Old money refers to families whose wealth has been passed down through multiple generations. They didn't earn it, they were born into it. The Rockefellers, Vanderbilts, and Astors are classic American examples. Old money tends to be low-key and understated, they rarely flaunt their wealth. Instead, they invest in things that endure: land, fine art, private education, and legacy businesses. Their wealth isn't measured by what they spend, but by what they keep. The goal is always the same: to pass on more to the next generation than they inherited. New money. New money describes people who made their fortunes in their own lifetimes rather than inheriting it. They built their wealth from scratch. Tech billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates fall into this category, along with entertainers, athletes, and entrepreneurs who came from nothing and struck it rich off a single idea. New money is usually much more visible than old money. Mega mansions, luxury cars, and private jets are often put on full display. It's not always out of arrogance. It's often just the natural byproduct of experiencing wealth for the first time. Today, roughly 68% of the world's ultra-wealthy are self-made, meaning new money has quietly become the dominant demographic of the global rich. The tech rich. The tech rich are a specific subset of new money that has primarily emerged over the last 3 decades. They are the founders, coders, and engineers who built the companies that changed how the world operates. What sets them apart is the unprecedented speed at which their wealth grows. A startup launched in a garage can hit a multi-billion-dollar valuation in just a few years. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon have generated some of the most massive fortunes in human history, accumulating wealth much faster than any oil baron or railroad tycoon of the past. Despite their net worth, the tech elite often live surprisingly modest lifestyles, still wearing casual clothes and driving regular cars while quietly pulling the strings. The real estate rich. The real estate rich represent one of the oldest and most reliable paths to wealth. These individuals build their fortunes by buying, developing, and selling property. What separates them from other wealthy groups is their patience. They think in decades, not years. They understand that land is one of the few things in the world they aren't making any more of. Some start by buying a single modest property, renting it out, and leveraging that income to buy a second. Over time, this process compounds into massive wealth. Real estate consistently ranks alongside banking and business services as one of the top 3 industries for the global ultra-wealthy. The celebrity rich. The celebrity rich actors, musicians, and entertainers represent a type of wealth uniquely tied to fame. Their income usually hits in massive, sudden spikes rather than building up slowly and steadily. A hit album, a blockbuster movie, or a viral moment can generate millions practically overnight. However, what separates truly wealthy celebrities from those who eventually go broke is their next move. The smartest ones, like Rihanna and Jay-Z, use their fame as a launchpad to build business empires. Rihanna's Fenty Beauty brand is already worth more than her entire music catalog combined. For the celebrity rich, fame isn't the finish line, it's the seed money. The athlete rich. The athlete rich make their money through a mix of contracts, endorsements, and for the sharpest ones, business investments. What makes this wealth unique is its urgency. Pro athletes have notoriously short careers, typically facing a narrow 1-0 to 1-5-year window of peak earning potential. This reality forces many athletes to view wealth completely differently from the rest of us. LeBron James is probably the clearest example of an athlete who understood this early on. Long before retirement, he built a business portfolio spanning media, pizza chains, and Spring Hill Entertainment, making him far wealthier than his NBA contracts ever could. The athletes who build generational wealth are the ones who treat their sports careers as their day jobs, while building side hustles in their off time. The investor rich. The investor rich don't build wealth by creating a product or service. They do it by making their money work for them in the financial markets. Stocks, bonds, hedge funds, and private equity are their tools of the trade. Warren Buffett is the most famous example. He never invented a product, but became one of the richest people in history simply by identifying great businesses and holding on to them for decades. What's different about investor wealth is that it's practically invisible in its early stages. The investor rich often live in obscurity for years while their wealth quietly compounds behind the scenes. Then one day, the numbers become simply too big to ignore. The crypto rich. The crypto rich represent an entirely new class of wealth, created practically overnight. These are the people who bought into Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other digital currencies early on, sometimes with just a few $100, and held on long enough to see those investments multiply their initial value thousands of times over. Many of the crypto rich are young folks with zero background in traditional finance. They just spotted something new, and took a gamble that most people refuse to take. What sets crypto wealth apart from almost every other type is how fast it hits and how volatile it stays. The kind of wealth that takes decades to build in real estate or stocks was minted in months in crypto, and in some cases, lost just as quickly. The inheritor. The inheritor differs from old money in one crucial way. They weren't necessarily raised in a prominent aristocratic family. They received a massive windfall, perhaps from a parent or grandparent, and that single transfer of wealth altered the entire trajectory of their lives. Some inheritors go on to grow their windfall, treating it with the same discipline as old money families. Others blow through it fast, completely unprepared for the responsibility of managing a sudden fortune. Studies show that a significant percentage of people who receive large inheritances lose most of it within a few years. As it turns out, wealth management is a skill, and it doesn't automatically transfer along with the money. The quiet rich. The quiet rich might just be the most surprising group of all. They are everyday, average-looking people, teachers, mechanics, accountants, small business owners who spent decades quietly saving and investing, ultimately amassing fortunes that practically no one around them knows about. They drive used cars, live in modest homes, and clip coupons. But their brokerage accounts tell a completely different story. A study of over 225 millionaires found that the most common archetype was what researchers call the saver investor. These are folks who never experienced a dramatic windfall, but simply made saving and investing a daily habit for 30 years or more. They are the least flashy type of wealthy person, but statistically speaking, they're the most common.